The Wellness Show, Episode 10.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. So welcome to the Wellness Show. I'm really excited to have on the call today Poirier, and he's about to launch a brand new book. And that's why we're here, and we're about to talk about it. So Corey, what's going on with this book?
Well, it's the book is called Enlightened, and I guess one of the things that I'm really excited about is that I've been in this sort of book game for years as an author. I've been in the speaking game, and one of the things that really strikes me is there hasn't been any kind of book or material that I've seen, at least, and I'm on a lot of different lists where people are actually trying to mix the worlds of the holistic health world and the world of what are these enlightened, I call them super achievers, what do they do from a perspective of how do they live their lives, whether it comes to, when it comes to how do they basically take downtime, how do they relax, but also how does that make them more productive and how does that impact their business and their growth as an entrepreneur? So, I've been calling it sort of enlightenment for the everyday business person. So I'm trying to marry the two worlds of the, let's say, health and wellness world, and how does that impact our business productivity? And that's what the book's about, really.
I like that. I mean, the name of the show is The Wellness Show on Health and Wealth. And, I'm always told as a coach, you got to keep those two together. But, your health and your wealth and your business are all interconnected. And that's really what your theme is all about in your book. Is that not right?
That's absolutely correct, Tyson. And that's one of the things that, to be honest, I'm surprised how, at least what I see anyway, I can't say that's not there, but how few connections people actually make between the two. Like you said, we're always told that they should be connected. But I find it sometimes a lot of people are like, this whole meditation thing, I push up a quote, meditation thing, or this, energy work and all this. I find a lot of people are really, they're either there now or they're not there yet.
Right.
And if they're not there yet, let's say they're an entrepreneur and they don't get this whole thing of energy and they don't believe that maybe there's, negative energy and positive energy and stuff we carry around with us. I really felt there needed to be a way that people could see that this is absolutely true and also how it's impacting them every day. The fact that they can see, the average person I think can see, if I'm surrounding myself with negative people, that's impacting my life. But maybe not realize that if they're negative self-talking, that's also impacting their life, their business, their career, what their growth of their business is. So I just wanted to be kind of the bridge or the conduit to actually mix the two of those. And so that's exactly what it's about, showing that our health and our wellness is completely linked to our wealth.
Well, that's great. So in the book, how do you approach that? I think you have quotes from different people, don't you? Is that part of the book?
It sure is. And that was something we started in our last book. It was called Thriving. And it was definitely more focused on the business growth side, a little less on the health and wellness side. So we took the opposite approach this time. But to answer the question, yeah, so there's two approaches. One, there's the main book, which is essentially just like any traditional book you'd read. It's all kind of my sharing what I've learned over the years, what it's taken me a lot of falls to learn about. And then there's the second section, which you're referring to, which is at this point 150 plus quotes and insights about wealth, health, professional and personal success, achievement. So there's 150 plus thought leaders sharing their thoughts in this whole sphere, if you will. But in terms of how I shared in the book, because that's, I think, important as well, is I talk about it. What I just mentioned, I talked about the idea that I know a lot of people who think of when they hear yoga or they hear different ideas that are related to healing ourselves naturally, that they think of the cross-legged yogi, that's sitting on top of a mountain that only eats rice all day. They think I have to be this guru, if you will, and I know you're into the shaman world, so they think I have to be a shaman or I can't understand this, and maybe they're not there yet, or a monk or what have you. And of course, as you know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome if you're at that level of enlightenment. but I'm trying to reach the people that aren't there yet. So I talk about it in the book. I bring light to the fact that not everybody's there yet. I even reference there's a yoga program called YRG, which is yoga for regular guys, and it was put out by a wrestler named Diamond Dallas Page. And basically what he wanted to show is this big, tall wrestler filled with tattoos could actually become more flexible and enhance his life.
Corey, you just broke up. I don't know if you can. You just broke up, so if you can cut back to the wellness guy, you know, the boxer and the tattoos, go back to that.
Okay. So yeah, there's this thing called YRG, which stands for Yoga for Regular Guys. And it was put together by this wrestler named Diamond Dallas Page. And he's filled with tattoos. You know, he's not what you traditionally see as somebody doing yoga every day. And he talks about how, I think he's now late 50s, and he's flexible enough to put his foot over his head. And he actually worked with some other wrestlers who were facing addictions and demons and helped them beat some of those and get into the best shape of their lives. And his whole idea is to show regular guys, you know, whether you're a trucker, whether you're in a trade, or whether you work in Wall Street, that you can do yoga too. So really, that to me explains what I'm trying to do, is show everybody that they can actually learn from the shamans of the world, the yogis of the world, and at the same time apply it to their business and professional life. So in the book, I actually call attention to that fact. I say, you know what, you can be that yogi on the top of the hill, but you also don't have to be that yogi to benefit from it. So that's kind of the approach I take.
Well, I have an important question about that. Is, were you teaching Mickey Mouse how to do yoga, or was yoga being taught to you by Mickey Mouse?
Maybe it was a bit of both. I think maybe we were both ready for it.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm shocked. And for people listening who don't know what you're referencing, there's a picture of me and Mickey Mouse doing tree pose. And I actually said, do you mind if I do tree pose next to you? Because I think that'd be a cool picture. And instantly, Mickey Mouse threw the foot up and did tree pose with me. So I didn't even ask him he'd do it. He just automatically did it. So yeah, I don't know. We're both ready for it, because he didn't have to ask any questions. He just jumped right into tree pose.
So if it's good enough for Mickey and it's good enough for you, it's good enough for everybody, right?
I think that's the idea. I mean, I would be, I used to joke and say when I was a kid, I often talked to youth, and I talked about the idea that for youth that are worried about, they want to get a job. They don't want to change their image because they feel that's their identity. But at the same time, they know that the job they want to get, they need to change their identity, meaning they have red or green hair, maybe they have to dye that back, or they might have to take out their nose ring or what have you. So I often talk about the fact that you can be Metallica on the inside, and you don't have to be Metallica on the outside. And when I reference that, I talk about the fact that I was, growing up, I was what you would call a headbanger, and the Metallica on the outside and inside. And I sort of changed that, but it doesn't take away from me who I am on the inside, if that all makes sense. So my idea with Enlightened is, here's this guy who was into metal when he was growing up, into, listening to Megadeth and Metallica, who was never the person that was meant to, in his own mind, do yoga or meditation or energy work or acupuncture, who has been able to discover it and now can do stuff at 40, flexibility-wise, he couldn't do at 20. So really, it's just that I was somebody I don't think that was traditionally associated with something like this, and I discovered the benefits, so I want to share it with other people. That's really where this all comes from. That's
great. I think that's wonderful. And being a role model, being the example, and you're also, a guest lecturer, you're invited to be a speaker. So to be that model, to embody that, and to just demonstrate it by who you are, or just by showing up and being Corey, encouraging everybody, that sounds really, really powerful. So tell me about what sort of, like being a guest lecturer, a professional speaker, how does that fit in, Corey, to what you're doing as well?
Well, I guess you would say it's maybe my live version opportunity to share the insights that I'm sharing on a regular basis. So to be honest, Tyson, it looks different depending on the client and the circumstance and the situation. So you could have a corporate client who says, we want you to come in and talk about customer service.
Right.
And they might say, we don't want you to talk about how wellness affects that, even though we know it does.
Right.
We don't want you to talk about how getting enough sleep affects that, or how you eat. So sometimes it could be just a corporate talk that somebody, traditionally your listeners, if they've ever seen a speaker, they might visualize that, either a motivational or an educational talk. Sometimes it looks just like that. Other times it could be a talk that's based on, I have this thing called the Better Life Formula. And really, it's me showing what I've learned out of all these interviews that these thought leaders are doing to live a better life. And that one's really closely associated with what the book is about. So in terms of what it looks like, it really depends on the client, but at the end of the day, it usually would be a client wants me to take their staff from point A to point Z. They want me to help them make a transformation, whether that's just doing better on the job, that's telling them they're already doing well, but how they could change some things slightly. It could be a whole revamp. You know, they're saying our sales are down, so we want you to come in and maybe do a rah, but I'm also about the education side. So I want to give them takeaways that they can start doing the next day that might enhance their cold calls, let's say. You know, that makes it so that maybe they make 5 cold calls. Well, maybe they turn 3 of them warm quicker based on some strategy I provided them. So really, it looks like me coming in to lecture on various, what I call soft skills topics or inspirational messages, and with the idea and hope that I'm going to transform somebody's way of thinking enough that they want to take action.
That's great. And you have a background in, I think it's sales, isn't it? So that you know how to do the marketing and help people, you know, really be good at that, get over themselves and be able to, deliver quality products to their customers, if I understand correctly. So that's part of it as well, right? You have that skill set.
It sure is. And to put it in, I guess, in perspective for a listener who might say, okay, well, you know, they've heard a lot of people have background in sales. Some people I know that say that they've been through marketing certification and think that gives them a background in cold calls, which it doesn't. Yeah. So my background in sales, just to put I guess a number on it, just in my first career, which was selling photocopiers door to door. So not for the faint of heart. This is something that when you walk through the door, a lot of people don't care about replacing their yellow photocopier. So at the end of the day, we figured out that my first 10 years of my sales career, I made over 10,000 cold calls door to door.
Wow. I know that's not easy. I know you got to have a bit of a thick skin because it's a numbers game, right? There's X number of clients you have to reach out to before you even get a sale. So you got to get yourself through those no's to get to a yes.
Yeah, I'm a big believer on the thought that it takes 5 no's to get to a yes. Yeah. And I even apply that to marketing, which I think a lot of people miss the boat on. You know, when you're trying to build a brand, I believe it takes 5 impressions before a person even starts to pay attention. So I think, you know, even with your show or my show, Tyson, you know, somebody on our Facebook page, there's some people there that need to see you put up maybe the first 5 shows. And I mean, I'm just throwing a number on it. It could be 10, it could be 4.
I've heard it's 7, but, you know, 5, 7, you know, you're right. It takes a number of times for people to have, oh yeah, that I've heard of that before. Oh yeah, I want to read, what's this about? Even to pique their curiosity. So I understand what you're saying. Yeah, great.
Well, and I'll tell you, I try to apply it to every aspect of my life. And in fact, with the book launch, as you know, we have a lot of thought leaders, as you mentioned, included in the book. And I know a lot of them are intending to share the book with their audience. Well, there's a great example that when the launch occurs, it's going to be a whole lot of strides, you know, a whole lot of contacts to get to people go, wow, I'm seeing this book everywhere. I better grab my copy. So there's another example of you know, they might initially go, I'm not sure if I want this book, even though it's free. I'm not during the launch. I'm not sure if I want this book. But after they see it a few times, they're like, well, there's got to be something to it. So even that's part of my approach with my launch as well.
That's great. So the last part of this puzzle, before we loop back to talk about your book, which this was all about, is tell us about Conversations with Passion. This is your true passion, right? This is really what gets you up in the morning. So tell us about that show.
Absolutely. So the show, what really excites me about that, Tyson, is, and I've been, I guess, for a lot of people, if they know this name, I think it really explains what I do very well, is a lot of people on shows have said, so let me get this straight. You're basically a modern day Napoleon Hill. And, you know, they've coined it, not me. But at the same time, I'll take it because I'm a big fan of Napoleon Hill's work. So for people on the show who may or may not have heard of him, if they haven't, they have to go and grab his book. If they have, they know what we're talking about. But Think and Grow Rich was a monumental book, a landmark book, written in 1936, that has changed, they say, more lives professionally than any other self-help book. And so Napoleon Hill, what he did, though, is he went out and interviewed over 500 millionaires. That was the subject of the book. He interviewed over 25,000 people in his career, but over 500 millionaires for the book. You know, so he interviewed Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein. Well, actually, I'll correct that. I don't know if he interviewed Albert Einstein, he talked about him. But he interviewed a lot of these thought leaders of yesterday. And so I like to believe I'm basically doing what he did back then, and I'm sharing that insight through the show, through our business publication we used to have, through our books. So yeah, I'm essentially trying to interview these thought leaders. And what happened is I became obsessed with learning what they do differently. So Conversations with Passion is my way of sharing through their passionate stories and their passionate way of sharing their message, because they're so passionate in the first place, sharing their story and their message with a larger passion.
That's great. So that brings us around yet again that passion, bringing that passion through your books and sharing it so other people can be inspired to be the best that they can be. So tell us a bit about the book. What sort of sectors do you have? Do you have sections in the book? Do you have different themes in the book?
Well, so the theme itself, there's essentially steps. So what I call it is, it's funny, I call it the 5 steps to enlightenment. However, the funny thing I have to preface is the fact that we added a bonus step, and I do this all the time. I always believe you should under-promise and over-deliver. So in the front of the book, it says the 5 steps, but there's actually 6 in the book. So those would be called the sections, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we basically separated it by 5 sections, 5 steps in the book, and then we had a bonus one. And then the second section is all those quotes that we talked about and insights from thought leaders, which, by the way, which also makes it rare, is every person that's sharing insight, it actually includes their photo and their website link. So it's not just, some quotes at the back of a book. It's actually, they basically get their own dedicated sort of spot in the book.
Yeah, I hear a rumor that I might be in that book. Is that correct?
That's the rumor that's going around.
Yeah.
I think you might have good insight, and I think you might be onto something. There may be some truth to that rumor.
Okay. So can you share maybe one of the steps?
Yeah, I absolutely can. So one of the steps, and I'm not looking at it right now, but I think the header for the section, this is all, like, the book itself is just about to come out. So I went through it a lot of times, but it's been about 2 weeks because it's been at the editor and the formatter. But the question I believe that's asked as the name of the header is, are you fueled by vitamin P?
Ah.
So I may have the wording of that a little off, maybe by a word or two, but it's a question. And the vitamin P part, which is what one of the sections is about, or one of the steps is about, I'm interchanging section and steps when I say these words, but the steps, what one of the steps is about is, are you fueled by vitamin P? And the P stands for passion. And so to me, what passion is, or that vitamin P, I often joke and say it's the one vitamin you can't buy in the store, but it's probably the most important vitamin you'll ever take. And so what that section is about, or step is about, which is inherently, I guess, become its own section, but what that's about is helping a person find their passion, or determine if they have they're living with passion now, and to relate to them how finding their passion also relates to their purpose. So what I share in the book is, I believe passion is what you do, purpose is why you do it. So what I share in that section is, first of all, I ask the person the question and pose, are you actually living your passion now? If you are living your passion, the section will serve as a validation that you're doing it right, or that you can, that you're doing it mostly right and you can add some things to it. Or B, if you're already doing extremely well, then maybe it's a chance to share it with somebody else in a written form. Maybe you send them the book and say, here, I know you've been wanting to find your passion, here you go. So the idea with that section is to help somebody become more enlightened by finding and living their passion. And so we actually take them through an exercise for how to find that passion, but then we also tie it into purpose and talk about the why you should want to find your passion in the first place. What is the impact it's having on other people, and what is the impact it can have on you? So that would be a step in Enlightened. And by the way, it's the #1 most common trait I've discovered in my interviews with 3,400 enlightened superachievers, is that over 95% of these people have found and are living on purpose every day.
Wonderful. That's very, very exciting and very inspiring. So when is this book actually going to come out?
So I'm going to tell you I'll give you the exact date, but originally it was going to be February 1st, and it'll be ready next week. So it'll be ready when it was originally going to come out, but I decided to leave it until February 8th so I could kick off the launch properly, mainly because I'm on the road right now, and the last book we did, the launch, I was on the road and speaking in between launching the book for the entire month. So this time I said I want to be fixed. I'm actually taking the lion's share of the month of the launch off to just focus on the launch. So I decided to leave it till February 8th. It also allows me time to make sure the ducks are in a row. There's nothing worse, as you can probably imagine, Tyson, to say the launch day is here and then find out you have a bug you didn't work out yet. So I'm actually going to do kind of an invisible launch to make sure all the bugs are worked out, not sharing it with anybody, but just testing it herself next week. And then February 8th is the actual official quote-unquote launch date.
So do you have the link yet for this, or can they just come to the Wellness Show and get the link when you have it ready?
Actually, the cool part is, Tyson, they can actually right now, so I have to give you the website and the passcode, because we have a passcode so that you have to actually be exclusively in the loop to get the book. But the website's up now and the passcode works. The only thing that'll happen is the book won't come to you automatically for the next week. However, the day that the book launches on the 8th, everybody that's within that list that's on our tribe gets their copy right away. Great. So in other words, somebody listening right now can literally sign up right now. They'll be in the loop. They'll be in our tribe. The book they'll be the first to get the book. They'll actually get it before anybody else. So they can sign up right now. They don't have to wait until that date. What I will tell you too, because sometimes I think when people hear tribe or newsletter or what have you, some people are like, well, I just want the book. I don't want to be in the tribe. And I always reveal to people, Tyson, I know some people will say, sign up here. You're now in our newsletter, what have you. My whole thing is, hey, I want you, if you want to be in our tribe and learn for free for years to come, I want you there. But if you don't want to be there, but you don't want the book, I don't want to hold you back from learning. So what I tell people is, you know what, worst case scenario, sign up now. And then the day you get the book, if you don't want to be involved in the tribe, opt back out the day after. Very few people ever do, but if somebody wants to do that, I'm all on board that. In fact, I have to admit I've done that myself in the past. I've actually, wanted something really bad, but I didn't want to be in the tribe. So I signed up, got the thing, and signed back out. There's nothing wrong with that. So if a person wants to do that, great. But really, the end result is they can sign up today, get their copy of the book the second it comes out, and then they can even wait around to see one of our messages we send out once a week with free insight in it, and then decide what they want to do from there. But yeah, they can sign up right now. All
right. So what's the link, Corey?
Yeah. So it's pretty easy. It's thisisthebook.com. So thisisthebook.com. And then they'll see there's a spot to just enter, and we don't ask for a lot of info. It's basically just their email address, of course, so we know where to send it. Their first name if they want, or even their initial, doesn't matter to me. And then the last part is, and this is the most important part perhaps, is the passcode. And the passcode is best you ever. All one word, best you ever.
Best you ever.
Yeah, and all spelled out, no abbreviations or nothing, not the letter U, all spelled out. And if they go and enter the passcode like that, then literally they'll get a message telling them that they're in the loop. And then, like I said, we'll be following up within about a week, and they'll get their copy of the book right away.
Well, Corey, thank you very much. We're about to wrap up the show, but I just want to ask you this question. I know that creating a tribe is really dear to your heart. So when you think about, or when you want to explain what you want to do with this tribe, could you share that? Why do you have a passion to help these people join your tribe?
Well, for me, Tyson, what it comes back to and down to is that in terms of, so let's use this example, say social media. And this is maybe a business tip if somebody's listening and they're growing a business. If you think about Facebook, if you're trying to build your tribe, let's say on Facebook, that's awesome. Applaud you. We're all doing that. But at the end of the day, if Facebook closes tomorrow and sprouts out something new, or Facebook decides that you're not allowed on the page because of something, or they don't like your business and your business page is done, well, where do all your potential clients go? Where's your tribe gone? It doesn't exist anymore. Much the same as if you're selling a product in Walmart and they're your only supplier, and they pull your product off the shelf because somebody offers a lower price. The next day you have 0 customers. You're starting over. So to me, why I believe it's important, first of all, to build our tribe is because if we have a powerful message that we want to impact the world with, we need to be able to know how to reach those people and share that message with them when they need it most. And my experience is the only way to directly do that is to have a tribe of followers. So, you call it maybe a newsletter list or an email list, but it's your direct access to be able to impact people's lives, let them know what's changing. If something new happens in their field, you can let them know right away by them being a part of your tribe. So it's important for me to help people become a part of my tribe because it's the best way I can reach them, the most efficient way I can reach them. And it's the one way for sure I know I can continue to reach them regardless of what happens online with social media. So it's important to me for that reason. And then secondly, it's because I can share in a different way insight and info than I ever can with, say, social media. So for example, I can send a video out directly to my tribe and everybody's equal. Everybody has a chance that they choose to watch that video. Whereas on Facebook, it only goes to a certain percentage. And some people might miss it because they're offline that one day, but the email is sitting there if they want to use it. So I think it's just the opportunity you have to impact people through a tribe and a list that you don't have other ways. That's why I'm passionate about building that tribe. And like I said, I always want the people on there that want to be there. So just as much as I'm passionate about getting the right people there, I'm also as passionate about helping the people that don't want to be there find a better tribe for them.
That's great. And we're going to wrap up this show. Thank you for being here. I'm so pleased to be part of your tribe, and I welcome you to my tribe. And together, I know we could just, add some rocket fuel to each other's business. And if you're out there in listening to this call and you need a coach to get your business up and running, then I highly recommend that you get hold of Corey, and he'll put some rocket fuel in your business. So thank you, Corey, for showing up. It was great to have you on the show.
Thanks so much, Tyson. And what I will say is that another benefit of living this lifestyle entrepreneurship lifestyles that we decide to live, I use the word lifestyle twice, is you get to have bearded Fridays. I say that you get to have casual Friday because you get to sort of set your own hours and your own sort of rules for how you do your business. So just as a side note of somebody saying, I want to be Metallica inside, every once in a while you still get to be Metallica inside.
That's right. You don't have to change the real you.
Exactly.
Just show up and be authentic. So Corey, thank you very much. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you, Tyson. It was my pleasure as well. And I love what you're doing, so keep on doing it. And thank you for living with passion every day as well. So thank you so much for making this possible.
Bye-bye.
Awesome.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessshow.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.